So when Forrest said, hold this mic, and I'm an Italian, so it's going to like move in and out of my hand, so I'm going to try to not do that. So I'm Dot Lucci, and our team is called Good Vibes, and we have really felt good vibes and good vibrations here, so that's partly why we named it. So we're going to present this app, and really it's about transforming the lives of individuals on the autism spectrum. In 2010, the graph on the left there shows the incident of 1 out of 68. However, the current rate is 1 out of 45, so these guys are here to stay. The photo on the right there is our adult interns, where they're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and we took them there to help them develop independence, social skills, and self-advocacy. This disability, or this challenge, has challenges in the social communication area, social cognitive area, and in behavior. So they're bright, they're average to above average in terms of their IQs, but they struggle tremendously in life. They struggle in relationships, they struggle in schools, and they struggle in getting employment and then keeping employment. So we felt by bringing technology together, we could really improve the lives of individuals on the autism spectrum. In working with this group, they have these challenges that they go unutilized. So our technology is
our solution was to use Affectiva and Beyond Verbal's face and voice-based emotion analytics to get real-time social cues and to be able to administer real-time feedback using Pavlok, which we're actually using for positive reinforcement with the vibrations, the good vibes, to let the user know when they're on the right track, when they're positively engaging in a conversation. We have some screenshots from our app. This is Ari, who helped build everything, but she couldn't be here today. We are going to try to do a live demo for you guys as well. So let's see if this works. All right, is that showing your screen?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Just let me. Okay, so the app was developed for Android. We actually merged in an Android application the URL commands to communicate with Pavlok and the Affectiva's API. We also, Beyond Verbal and both Beyond Verbal and Affectiva have this valence value that actually is a general measure of how positive or negative the interaction is. So that's the value we're using to determine. So once we started, we have a live feed of the video. This would be like in a controlled setting, right, with a counselor in an interview for beginning. So positive interactions, like making the person smile, would set a green value, and it also sends vibrations to the Pavlok in order to reinforce that kind of behavior. And well, negative interactions, hopefully, are also recorded, and they show up in a log later. That can be used by the psychologist in order to analyze what moments were good and give proper advice later. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Back to the slide.
You go ahead.
Thank you. So we think right now this is a pretty basic app, but it's not hard to imagine how it could be linked to wearables and useful to the broader population. For instance, Empatica has a sensitive wristband that can track your autonomic nervous system consistently. Google Glass, linked with Affectiva, could give the wearer feedback from the other party, and these technologies together could transform everyday interactions. And they can also, with a log, help identify recurring patterns over time. We have samples of HeartMath and SimTrend, which are tools that are currently on the market to help manage stress and behavior management. So if people want to try those out later, we have those. And we actually think that this could apply in work settings, in school settings, in counseling, basically any area of life where being more emotionally aware can benefit the user. So we're really excited about the future potential. And this is everyone. Yay!
All right, thank you. Do the judges have questions? I should put a time limit on questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
First of all, that was a great hack. It's not. It looks more like a well thought out, long-term product development that you did there. So, on the back end, when you gather the data, do you envision, or do you already generate a simple report so the person that is doing the assessment of the autistic subject can get a report, and then or is that just something you envision doing if you were to take this out into the marketplace?
Yeah.
Here, speaker.
I'm going to grab the second mic from the drawer.
So currently, in a program that I direct, and we're out in schools, and we've created a curriculum called Science of Me, where we are currently integrating SimTrend and HeartMath. And so yes, that application is processed as a group because their perspective taking is challenged. So knowing where the other person's mind is or thought is about their interaction is really powerful learning. And because it's technology and a visual representation, it's a little more objective. So our guys are very much interested in learning about it and changing and improving their graphs. So yeah, so I would see this application that we developed today taking it even further. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions that I know. So we know that people on the ASD spectrum no two people are alike. It's a hugely variable population. And so I wanted to get your sense in terms of if you're trying to gauge successful interaction, first of all, what is the right kind of age or quality of the individual in terms of what they struggle with, and what do you think are the actual most important cues? Because I don't think people socially will overtly frown at you if the interaction's not going well. So from your expertise, what are the most critical things for that person to get
No,
feedback
it's
on?
not this one.
So I've got a pretty loud voice. I'm an Italian. Is that working or no? Okay. So it's on? Yes? Doesn't sound it. But okay. In general, we're working with kids who are higher functioning, and we're working with middle schoolers, so 12 and older. And in terms of the social behaviors, they would be connected to the actual context that they're in. So we also use this broader philosophy called person, environment, and activity. And in the middle of that Venn diagram is called performance. And the variables would be based on that, how all those things come together in terms of social, facial, as well as verbalizations. Okay.
Hi, we are team number 7, otherwise known as HackBar, and we put together a project today called Impulse that is intended to measure and share your emotions. These are our team members, I and the second one, Jesus, and we'll get on with it. So our goal is to use both Affectiva and Pavlok to get a pulse on your emotions and then sort of send that pulse out, whether it's to a limited audience or a broad audience. We gave ourselves some constraints because obviously it's one day and we needed to get something done. So we're using the Affectiva SDK. We are aggregating photos from an Instagram feed, and then we are also using the Pavlok the feedback system to sort of send that pulse that we're talking about. So the problems that we're trying to solve today is that we're not always self-aware of our moods, and we're even less self-aware of our moods over time. So just because we know how we're feeling now, we don't remember how we were feeling Monday or how we were feeling Wednesday or a month ago. And then the current qualitative methods of self-reporting are often unreliable, they're inconsistent, they're easily manipulated. So we wanted to incorporate technology in a way that would make it a little more sort of quantitative. So the solution is that we provide a scheduled, so something that you would build into your own schedule, computer analyzed system where you would take photos, you would upload them in this case to an Instagram account because that's what we're feeding off of. And then over time it would create data graphics as well as analysis that you could not only look at yourself, but that also could be looked at by a mental health professional or somebody else in your network that cares about you. You'll see some broader applications for it at the end. And then also to use that information to sort of cue the haptic feedback system to ping you, whether it's to ping you to try to get in a better mood or ping you about something else related to, sort of your state of being. So those are basically the goals of the system as well. And then, so this is how it works. So right now you're going to see it sort of draw the pictures from Instagram, analyze it, create this graphic, and then I believe one of our teammates is going to get a little buzz, essentially saying, well, I think it'll. Okay. So found 4 faces out of all the pictures on Instagram. And sort of it tells you how engaged you are, how much joy, how much sadness, how much anger, etc. And then this is sort of the design of it. Keep going. You gotta keep going. And then, so you get a negative pulse or you get a positive pulse. We're calling it selfie reporting. Keep going. This, again, is the application. And then it sends, like I said, that alert to your system. In this case, an alert might look like, well, actually, I think we have a use case to illustrate this. So it might look like go back, please. It might look something like this, right? So, good morning, Manish. I see that you're feeling down today. Here are the things you can do to get your feel vibes going. Go for a run, eat lunch with a friend, knock off the task you've been procrastinating on for the last 3 days. Well, at the moment, so we have it so that it sends different signals, but we're not using this app at the moment. So maybe it's like 3 buzzes, or maybe 2 buzzes, or 4 fast buzzes. And then that can also be used to alert the people who care about you. So the first case is mental health, and this is sort of the one that we built it around this weekend. And that would not only tell you about your state and what you might do to improve it, but it would also communicate with your mental health professional. If there was a crisis, if there was like a series of photos that looked super, that were very much in despair, they might get something that says like, there's a crisis going on right now. You need to contact this client or this person that you're treating. And then also, sorry, go back to use case 2. So the second use case is we're thinking about HR in a workplace environment. Employers are really interested in their employees' well-being right now, how to sort of improve the mood of their workplaces. So it could be the sort of system that gets anonymized in terms of a data aggregation method, but then also provides information about like when you change to these light bulbs, all your employees became really unhappy, or this management group is really like, you need to have a conversation with this manager, et cetera. The third case study is social influencers, so then it starts to become wider, right? So then you sort of send pulses out based on, okay, we're gonna wrap this up. You guys can ask me about this if you want, but this is sort of the wider use case. And then, so future opportunities, video self-reporting, and then, like I said, the wider use cases. Thank you for the extra 30 seconds.
While they're thinking about that. No, they got the mic.
So, you can hear me?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't see you.
So my question is, how do you prompt users to use this? Because taking a picture every day at a dedicated hour, it's kind of not natural. And
Yeah.
when I take a picture of myself, I automatically smile, so I don't think, how was my day, and then frown. So how would you get users to actually really reflect their emotion when they're forced to take a picture?
Okay, so she's asking, how do we get people to not just submit sort of smiling, contrived selfies in order to get sort of honest feedback? There are a number of implementations of that. One of the last slides was talking about video integration. So this could be something that's used, for example, in a workplace during reviews or something else that's video recorded. It could also be used on a daily basis if it's like something that's embedded into a mirror, so that maybe you know that in a 10-minute span it's going to take a picture of you, and it might get a more honest reflection of your day. Or it could be a supplemental or a replacement for what is now self-reporting in terms of tracking your mood and tracking your engagement in the world, your sense of depression or whatnot. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So the name or title of our project is the Blind Emotion Aid. And the ultimate target of this project is to help the blind be able to sense emotions in a way that is not only dependent on what they hear from the conversation, but so that they can also get feedback based on the person's facial expressions. The way we do this is we use Affectiva's Android SDK, and we also use a Google Glass. The blind person could wear the Google Glass. There's a feed, they can start the application using audio commands or verbal commands. So they can say just show a demo. The demo would start, the application would start. There's a video feed that's coming in to the Google Glass, and then they can hear the Google Glass whispers the expressions into the person's ear. We actually decided to show you a live demo. So Emir here is going to be blindfolded, and Mernouche is going to stand in front of him, and she's going to make certain facial expressions that you will see. And then he will speak out the facial expression that he hears being whispered into his ear from the Google Glass.
Okay, Glass, show me a demo.
We also have a GitHub project which contains the code that you can just automatically pull and use the application.
Surprise. Joy.
You have to put your hand there. That's to the it's run out of the program.
Sorry. Okay, Glass, show me a demo. Surprise. Joy. Anger. Sadness. Wink. Joy. Surprise. Sadness. Anger. Surprise. Wink. Joy. Surprise. Anger. Surprise. Joy. Surprise. Wink.
So as an extension of this work, we could combine this system with Pavlok's haptic feedback to interact the intensity of emotion as well. I would like to especially thank the tech support for their help and all of you for listening, and we would be happy to take any questions. Thanks. Do you want to?
Maybe you can hear me. I have a question. So do you have evidence from the blind market that they don't feel hearing a person's voice gives them the emotional information they already need? They may feel that people mask facial expressions, but they're less likely to mask emotion in their voice.
So the idea was that they do get some response from people's speech. However, there are certain circumstances where your reply is usually through facial expression and you don't really say anything. So this is in order to help them through these specific circumstances.
So what is the response time from actually reading the facial expression to hearing this in the Google Glass?
So the demo you saw was real time. So that was the difference between the person performing the expression and the person seeing the result.
And you think it's enough time to come across socially normal and conducting a normal conversation?
So you could like edit the frame rate at which the glass actually performs. So an empirical study could be conducted where you could change the frame rate at which the response is actually given, and then you could tune that to see what suits the users best.
Thank you.
Well, we are Murderous Llama. Exactly who we are. We got Frank, master of expressions. No one can beat him. Got Dermot, who just loves getting shot. Kate sadly could not be here, and I'm just going to drive. So, what did we want to do? We actually really want to just play a game and hurt you at the same time. And I was like, great, excellent, especially with Pavlok here. It's like, oh, fantastic. So along with the Affectiva, we used a few technologies. We got Unity, the IFTTT, so we're using Pavlok through that. You could actually plug in other things, and then yeah, Pavlok to a little bit of a hurt you. But let's just jump right into the demo. Yeah, you feel the pain. You feel. Okay, so let's. MGH is nearby. If anyone needs, look up there. So what we have here now is. Frank is about to now try and get through the labyrinth. He has to use his facial emotions to drive the ball. So we added a few things. As you change your facial emotion, the colors change and the actual music changes behind you at the same time. Also, to make this a little bit more difficult, we actually flipped the control. So every 30 seconds, or 20 seconds, somebody's going backwards. Come on, Frank, you can do it. You're a master at this. A little bit more surprise to them. So, a few implementations like this, just check your own cognitive abilities. Maybe you can also add a little bit of a drinking game into this. As you go, there is a timer which I guess is hard to see on the main projector, but camera, go get there. So this is the very basic idea. We ran into like a few interesting problems, like with the Unity. It's a very early demo and so on. So we wanted originally to do emojis. They didn't actually have them in place, but we were able to utilize the actual emotions. Emotions were a little bit tricky. I'm not too sure if a lot of people found this, like the anger and disgust, very, very similar. So we threw together a few things and come on. Oh, you got the little, when you got the little pickup, actually, that was where we integrated Pavlok. So you have a few pickups. Either they help you and make you faster, or they shock you. Sorry about that term. But I don't know if you're going to make it to the end by the... You got 17 seconds? It's okay. So there's maybe I should have told you how to get out of the maze. I would have helped. Would have helped? Oh, sorry. Almost done. Then, yes. Okay. Despite... Now we can just quit. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Woohoo! Any questions?
So I'm trying to think when you it's a very creative concept. I'm trying to think now now when you look at an application for this, the concept, not necessarily the game, and playing the game with a deliberate facial expression to drive a outcome in the game versus how do you envision it using actual emotional response at the time? Is it through conditioning? Or how do you envision an application for the marriage of this to the game environment with the robot overlords?
One of the things I guess we did find was that you providing the emotions, actually, a lot of people have very subtle emotions and it wasn't really picking it up. So by actually asking the user to actually make the emotion, we found it was a lot easier to actually interact directly with the application as to ways to use this. I guess again, like we start looking at being able to relate certain things and actually expect that emotion back. Like we might not give it emotion, but you might have like another idea for games and so on would be charades, or like giving certain phrases and expecting emotional responses and then doing sentiment analysis around those.
Also, if you think for kids, like cognitive response. So if someone's been in an accident and you want to measure something like brain damage, you can use something like this to get cognitive response of how kind of they're emotional, they can change facial expressions, that type of thing. Or even older people in a stroke environment, same kind of thing, trying to figure out different facial expressions.
Awesome, thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Colby. I'm here with Team Candidate. We have Kat, Tom, and Philip, who's on a plane right now, I think. We are interested in using Affectiva to improve hiring decisions through better informed emotional analysis. First, let's sort of set the context. Hiring is really difficult because there's a lot of people always applying to your jobs, and it takes up time from hiring managers to filter through these many applicants. Let's go to the next one. And furthermore, you can't just hire people because hiring people, is difficult, but then making mistakes can be very costly. For example, hiring up to 80% of employee turnover is due to bad hiring decisions. But also, once you have an employee, getting rid of a bad employee and replacing them and dealing with the consequences of a bad hiring decision, according to, I think, the American Business Review, can be 5 times that employee salary. So clearly, there's a lot of cost involved in hiring, and you want to do a good job of it. Let's go to the next one. So what we propose is Candidate, which is a tool to effectively screen many candidates and assess their EQ in the very early stages before you get them into the on-sites and before you dig deeper into the resume. So this would sort of start as like a replace for the first 15 minutes of phone screening. Let's go through the steps. So first, the employer decides on questions and criteria that they want to use to evaluate employees. Next, the employee, or not the employee, the candidate, is interviewed by video, and then this video is assessed by the system, and it spits out a ranking and evaluation of how they performed on different emotional metrics. Then the hiring manager can look through these different people's ranking, look at the resumes, and then even look at the videos to see how all this fits together to get a better picture of the employee before moving them on to the next step. So this is it sort of in process. This is a quick sample. It's a 10-second sample, but ideally it would be around 90 seconds. So here we have interviewing Tom. So Tom, he was pretty expressive. He got 69.35 out of 100. Do you want to play it? Okay, let's watch it again.
Oh. It doesn't fit in here. Okay. No worries.
Okay, let's go to the next one. So this is Tom again. This would be like a different applicant. Same question. He's not so expressive in this one. Might not be a guy you want. I don't know. We'll see what the score is. Oh, okay. So the first Tom we definitely want to look at. We don't know if we're going to hire him right off the bat, but we're going to check it out. And then if we want to dig deeper into these scores, we can look at, where did the score come from? It didn't just come out of magic. So we have different metrics. We have the energy, positivity, and then empathy is sort of a measure of like sadness. Anger control rate was another one, and then we also have joy, which was measured at the top. And what we found, or what was found in research based on that Philip gave us, that he did at Cambridge, was that people who are able to express joy and concern, so that's sadness and also joy, are people who are better able to communicate. So this can be really valuable in roles where you need to empathize with people or maybe motivate them and get them really excited about something. So the next one. Yeah, so this can be valuable for a lot of roles. Obviously, it could be valuable for leadership roles, but it could also be good for, like, say, a sales role or for a design role or any role in the modern world where you're working with a lot of people. So I think the applications for this are broad, and we're interested to see, what other people might use it for. So we went online, and it turns out there's a company that's pretty similar to this. It's called HireView. And they use it for retail, they use it for education, healthcare, all kinds of applications. They're already saving people money and time, but the setup costs are pretty significant. What's good about this system is that you could do it basically in a day, set it up, and then just use it for a first pass interview. So I think this would position itself differently in the market for smaller clients who want to work with their pools of many people. So that's basically it. We're wondering if you have any questions about the applications, how it was built, or anything else. Thank you.
I have a question. How do you sort of handle employees who sort of know that you're going to judge their emotional state, and therefore they're sort of like meta-aware of like what they need to show in the interview?
Yeah.
Kind of sort of gaming the system.
We were definitely thinking about that. So imagine like you're being interviewed, and then like I'm gonna look happy because that joy is really valuable. But if you're like interviewing and then you're always smiling, it's gonna look weird in the video. And the hiring manager can look at the video after and see that you're trying to game the system. So maybe they see that your resume is good, so they're gonna move you on to the next step. But they have more information than just the score being spit out. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
This, but you're using both Affectiva and Beyond Verbal's technology, correct?
We are just using Affectiva for this version. Yeah. But I could definitely see it being built in for the future. Thanks.
Hi, we're Team Wait For It, and this is SuperTA. SuperTA is a long acronym that I'm not going to try and remember, but it's basically a real-time feedback mechanism for teachers to assess student ability to comprehend as well as attention. Just to set it up, I want to talk about a few dilemmas that every teacher has to go through. With class size ratios in the 20s in this country, it's impossible for teachers to assess every student all the time. Anyone that's been in a classroom knows that when you feel like you're the only one who doesn't know what's going on, you're afraid to ask the question, but other people might be confused as well. Oftentimes in education, the feedback loop is too late. If you have to wait until test scores come back, and then you realize that nobody got the material, it's too late to fix. And then with the digital atmosphere that we live in, attention spans are getting shorter, and it's important, especially at a young age, to be able to impact attention of people while they're learning.
So the solution we propose to this problem combines a real-time what we call a classroom engagement platform with an automated robot aid, played by BB-8 here, to alert you when things are going off track. It also includes reporting tools to help teachers improve their teaching methods, and this can be used as an alternative source of teacher assessment other than stressful and time-consuming tests. Let's see how this works.
Okay, class, how is everybody this morning? Good. Great.
So you can see that BB-8 is glowing green to indicate that the students are happy and ready to learn.
Today, we're going to talk about topic modeling and latent Dirichlet allocation.
So BB-8's turning red and shaking his head because everyone's really confused about this. So maybe Tomo needs to back up and explain.
What's that, BB-8? They're confused? Well, that's okay, because I'm confused too sometimes. So, there's a lot of different aspects that go into this. There's variables and probabilities and wah, 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 wah.
So BB-8 is changing color and maybe turning white or blue to indicate that the students aren't really engaged anymore. Tomo has lost them. Maybe he needs to make another joke or something to bring them back in. All right. So another aspect of this app is that if someone had been looking at the iPhone or another service, he could see a highlight of the student who was most confused, or if a particular student is distracted, that would show up in red. And so the reporting features at the end of his class, Tomo could also receive a report that would show, hey, at the beginning, there was a lot of happiness. Maybe in the middle he made a joke, but especially in the middle part of the chart in red, he can see the parts where the students were most confused and maybe go back and identify what he was talking about then and make sure to review that at the beginning of the next class.
And just to talk through a little bit where we could take this, this could be used as an assessment tool within universities and schools outside of just test scores to monitor student and teacher performance. This is the teacher-facing version. Obviously, it could be created for each individual student so they can assess their own performance. One of the things that we would want to do is integrate an incoming data point such as test scores. One would assume that there's a certain amount of confusion that occurs in learning that's good. And so we'd want to be able to assess what amount of attention and confusion leads to the optimal performance of the student at the end. This is also something that could be expanded online. In most cases, online classes have little or no visual feedback for the teacher. And then finally, could be expanded into business. As a moderately technical business person myself who's often explaining very technical things to very non-tech savvy people, I'd love to know when my points are hitting, when I need to hit something harder, or just completely scrap a metaphor and start over. So, any questions?
I'll say it was a very creative integration. I have small children, but I think the whole notion that you can integrate this with some type of a hardware or some application relevant piece of hardware, I think is great. I've got small kids, and I think in the teaching and learning environment, and I understood your example as well, just trying to make points, and is it resonating, coming across? Outside the classroom, how do you see scaling something like this? How do you envision scaling it?
I mean, I think that's where we look for different verticals. We could look, we mentioned business. I think sports is also an interesting thing that could also be within the school. A coach could use it to make sure everyone's paying attention. It's something that could be used at all levels. We could really hone in on, maybe it's better for younger students. Maybe it's better for college, maybe it's better for business, and then you can kind of grow it within that industry as you realize where it actually is the most beneficial. Sure. Hey.
So, if a teacher had the BB-8 and kids knew that the BB-8 was there, can't they just pretend to look engaged and pretend to understand it?
I think I would hope that as a student you wouldn't be able to pretend all the time. We talked a little bit about distraction, and I think that would be one of our concerns, at least at the very beginning, is that students would be looking at it too much. We would hope that over time it would normalize and become part of the classroom, and students would feel comfortable. Ultimately, the goal being that you can almost ask a question through it by looking confused without having to say, "Teacher, I don't get it," and everyone else might get it and I don't. So it's a way to hide a little bit maybe that embarrassment of feeling like you're alone. There you go.
Were you guys thinking of also actually collecting individual data sets per student and then actually have a report quarterly to the teacher that this is part of your
Yeah, that would be the idea over time, is to actually monitor these metrics by specific lesson so that you could actually assess, oh, I did a really good job teaching verbs, but sentence structure, they completely backed out on me. And then you can feed in test scores eventually to see what actually worked and actually make a learning model where you can look at what combination of these variables actually results in people performing the best on tests. And yeah,
and in the college model particularly, I think it would be great for students to be able to see, to get like a personalized report of, go back and watch minutes, 8 to 15 of that lecture again, because you looked especially confused during that part. Are we allowed to take more questions, or should we stop? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We are Team Feel for Life. We're a small team, but I think we're packing a really big punch this weekend. It's been a great event, and it's exciting to get up here and show you the work that we've done. My name is Stephen Vanoy. This is Amy Tuan and Skylar Lauren. So the project that we're working on, I'm a clinical psychologist. I do research in suicide prevention, and I provide clinical services to people who are at high risk for suicide. So I come at this both from a user's perspective as a clinician and also as a researcher. 40,000 people die in the United States every year. That's about 30 a day. Our ability right now to determine who's at high risk for short-term suicide is essentially zero. We really don't have good predictive tools to know who's at high risk. One of the places where we know people are at very high risk is after they've been hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital, generally following an attempt or in a situation where there was a lot of concern that they would make an attempt. The following 30 days is a very high-risk period, and we lack the capacity to monitor those patients for their safety. They're not under our surveillance most of the time. So we wanted to address that, and we thought that affect and informed patient feedback may be a key to an intervention that could make a big difference in this high-risk window. So this app fills in that gap.
And so how the app works is that before the patient leaves the hospital, the doctor will sit down with them and introduce the app to them. And the most important thing is to first set up a calibration period so that we have some statistics to measure against. And then also to set up a schedule for when they will check in every day. And then the app will notify them at that time. And once the patient goes home, they will check in, and the check-in consists of 3 questions that they will answer verbally for 20 seconds. And at the very end, they will also fill out a sort of self-assessment, oh, how are you feeling right now? So there's kind of self-reporting as well. And then if the app determines that the patient needs help, then it will show a message with some steps that the doctor worked out with them to help them work through it. And the doctor will also be notified via SMS. And the app, throughout the whole app, there's also an emergency phone button in case something triggers them or if they need help, they can get it right away. And all of this data, whether they need help or not, is going to be sent to the doctor via email with all the data so that the doctor can do their own analysis.
So the technology we used, we built an iOS application for it, and we're using Affectiva, Beyond Verbal, and self-reporting. We figured that all 3 would be very important for this application. So here's a quick little demo. So quick that it's gone already. So I did. There we go. So in the short little time, we were able to put together a demo. So here's the settings. This would be locked out to the patient. This would be part of the setup that Annie was talking about, where the doctor would go put in some questions and calibrate this, the emotions and all that. So the way it works is the patient then goes to the session screen and then is asked a question, and they are to talk about it for 20 seconds. Now here we're using, again, Affectiva and Beyond Verbal at the same time. Once the patient is done talking, we send it to Beyond Verbal, wait back for the response, and then compare it against the calibration from when the doctor did the initial calibration. So each session consists of 3 different questions. They're random, and then also the self-reporting. Also, we have the emergency contact throughout the app, so at any moment in time, they can call their doctor if they're feeling they're not doing so well, or call the crisis center or 911.
So I came in with really high hopes that we might be able to get the kind of data that we could make pretty accurate estimates of where people were emotionally and try to make decisions about that. I think the reality is that we're not really there yet, but this creates a fantastic research platform for us to collect data and to better understand how we can model people's emotional states after they leave these high-risk situations. We've got the real-time comparison to the calibration. As Skylar mentioned, there are a lot of modeling possibilities here and incorporating machine learning, various ways of doing this that we'll be exploring. And we're out of time.
Questions from judges?
How do you, so for a clinician in the field who might have several hundred patients, how do you sort of handle sort of all that inbound data coming in every day and automate it for them?
Yeah, so the way he asked about how do you, if somebody has several hundred patients and there's a lot of data coming in, so ideally the algorithm would be able to fairly accurately determine risk or high risk, low risk, medium, or classify that. And then they would get notifications for high-risk patients. So typically, I mean, ultimately, if you integrated it into the EMR, which they're coming in and checking on a daily basis, they're engaging with that, a flag can come up saying, hey, somebody logged some data and we think you better reach out to them. Also, the patient would be notified with a suggestion that maybe you should check in with your clinician, so it can go both ways.
Yeah, and high priority emails get sent.
And high priority email flagging. Yep. She asked about what kind of medical approvals this would need because of performing a diagnostic function. It's not I wouldn't put it in that category. There's no diagnosis actually being made. It is an assessment. And hadn't considered that it might be perceived as a medical device. So that's something to have to consider. Definitely at the clinical level. At the research level, it doesn't require that. So. And I think there's a lot of work to be done there. And this platform can create an immense amount of data that will really move the field forward. I'm very excited about it.
And help save lives.
And help save lives. That's the goal.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next into number 4. We're hitting the home stretch here, guys. So we are Team Deckard. I am Brian. Deepak, Akshay, and Margot. And Margot came to this whole competition and said, what if we made the device from Blade Runner, the Voight Kampff test? If you guys haven't seen Blade Runner, the whole idea of the movie is that there are robots that are secretly living among us, and investigators are trying to determine who's a robot and who's a human. And as part of this, they have a device that they set down and then ask people questions. I'll be honest with you, the questions are a little unusual, but we're going to show you how that process works.
Need light.
Need light?
Yeah.
I think this is coming off okay. That's okay. Yeah, this is okay. Good. This way. Yeah. Okay, we're good to go. Go ahead, questioner.
So
oh, perfect. The Unity crash.
Oh, and I just got a shock.
This is a real demo.
Bingo! No, we just hit presentation bingo here. As we were saying, we're going to start questioning now.
So we are going to have a couple of questions. Whatever.
Doesn't use the external camera now.
Let me put the flag.
No, it doesn't use the external camera. It's using this one. So you're going to question yourself. Let's do it. Come on the fly here. So.
That's fine. I can do the face.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to be behind and not looking at the screen. I'm supposed to be the participant and he's the experimenter, but camera problems.
So I have a question. So
it's your birthday, someone comes and gives you a wallet from an endangered animal. How do you behave?
Oh, that's super weird. I mean, I would not take that. I don't want that.
Oops.
Sorry.
So we just missed out on the answer. So next question. You are watching television, suddenly you realize there is a wasp crawling on your arm. What do you do?
I'm allergic to wasps, so I guess I would freak out and I would probably kill it.
But it's not. So next question. You're given a presentation at Emotion Lab 16. You can't get the projector to work. What do you do?
I think that's quite relevant in that context, right? I think I would try to improvise something and then talk for 5 minutes and just, try to find something to say, which is fun and entertaining.
So as you see, get a joy of 36% and a contempt of 12%. Yeah. So next one. Describe in single words only the good things that come into your mind when you think about your mother.
Okay, I'd pass on that one.
Okay.
So a little bit about how we built this.
Hello everyone. As you can see, we came up with a set of questions, and for each questions we have certain baseline for each individual emotion criteria or categories. For each question, we keep monitoring the testers' emotion and expression levels, and you can see the light feedback on the left bottom and the question at the top on the right top. And then there you can see the creepy eye of the test, the person under test or the robot under test. And then during this whole process, we keep reading the valence parameter from Affectiva, and then we are showing the graphs at the left bottom. So we are using Unity, for the whole application, and we're also using the Pavlok wristwatch kind of thing. So that is used to for the examiner to make sure that the person or the robot under test is right in the image area, so that it's the camera is focused on them, so that it can read the emotions. After the whole test is done, once we calculate all these parameters, Margot has come up with a lot of weird mathematical equations to come up with the human/robot index. So that gives an estimate whether the person under test is human or is the creepy robot.
All right, so that's what we made, and we're happy to answer any questions. We're still trying to figure that out, human or robot.
Even myself don't know, so.
All right, thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm really hungry. I'm not sure if there'll be any companies or even Affectiva out there measuring your facial expressions to see how hungry you are, because my rating is really high. My name is Alexis Chan, and this is my partner, Chun-Yu Shea. We were working, our goal for joining this hackathon is just to play with the API. I've been waiting for Affectiva's API for 4 years now. I first heard about them in 2012, and I was super excited. So that's our goal, and the problem that we were facing was, as we were playing with the API and getting into a lot of integration issues, and also playing with new APIs, you always have some technical difficulties. I keep seeing these political campaigns appearing on my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed, literally everywhere. So we're like, hey, let's just run the Affectiva analysis on these presidential debates. So we did. And this is one of them. I am not. This is just randomly, we were just randomly choosing a video to play. I'm not trying to campaign for anyone here. Yeah, so we can make the data public. What we did was grab some YouTube videos, crop out sections of it so that we only focus on the face. So we're only analyzing videos of presidential candidate faces. And we decide to plot it. And this web page is what happens when you have two people working on different things, one person working on the layout, and another person working on the visualization, and when you put two of them together, the CSS is not very correct. So if you're wondering what you're looking at here, this is a graph of the data that we got from analyzing candidate Cruz's facial expressions during the Republican presidential candidate on March 3rd, which was just 3 days ago. We got the video from YouTube. And if you can see at the back, this says engagement. This is the engagement metric, and it determines the width, or I guess height, of this graph over here. And the color is determined by how much the candidate Cruz has been wrinkling his nose throughout the video. I'm not exactly sure if this is bug free, so please don't sue me. And the Y values of this graph is determined by the attention, and you can change the metrics however you want to. You can look at candidate Clinton, doesn't wrinkle the nose very much. Sanders, so that we're fair to both in the Democratic Party. Trump, not so much. Let's see. Joy? How joyful are we? I guess not very much. I better stop this thing before I offend anyone. Anyways, for further extension, we would like to obviously have better visualization, probably show interaction in visualization between the different metrics, like how much does engagement correlate with nose wrinkling or something like that. The other thing we would also like to do is to analyze split screen debates. So don't worry, I muted my microphone on this. Come on. Oh yeah, so it will be really interesting to analyze the facial expressions when two people are in a split screen, because then you can see the interaction between the candidates. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Yeah, that would be really great. So what we did here is post-processing. So it wouldn't be as exciting as if we were doing live analysis, and also with the live analysis of the votes. Yeah, I mean, like polling, sorry. Thanks. Thank you.
And Jonathan. Maria. Amanda, thank you so much. All right, congratulations, everyone. Oh yes, so there's awards, and Boise's going to help you with that. All right. So the second award for Best Business Potential goes to Team Web-enabled, emotion-enabled websites. Grayson. Thank you. Yeah, what is the prize? Oh yes, so the prize for Best Business Potential is actually working with Affectiva to commercialize and productize this application. We will give you product marketing help as well as other advice, so definitely stay in touch. Afterwards. Okay. Thank you. All right. And then the third award for best user experience goes to Team 6, which is Murderous Llamas. John. And Darren. Thank you so much. And Frank. And I think Kate left, right? Yes. Yeah.